Hi, my name is Megan Cusack, and welcome back to another episode of Vehicle Care RockStars. Up to this point, we've highlighted singular rock stars on our program, though all of them would attest that they wouldn't have been able to get where they are without the help of others, most notably their families. However, like Simon and Garfunkel or Johnny and June, today's rock stars are two names that are inseparable. Jake and Allie Silbernagel, co-owners of Triple Tire in New Richmond, Wisconsin, needed to rely on each other as they started the journey of entrepreneurship together. But there's a third pillar they credit their success to, and that is the Lord. Okay, so can you guys tell me about how you got started in the industry? Like, does your family have any history in it, or is it just, you guys jumping in?
Really no family history in the automotive tire. I mean, I graduated college kind of during the recession and didn't have anywhere, struggle finding a job. So I ended up actually taking a job at a tire shop as a technician, and worked my way up through there into sales. And then fast forward, 15 years, I was the outside salesman for another tire company, and I was calling on the current location that we now own. And it's kind of
give you any sale?
They didn't give me any sale. I couldn't sell them anything apparently, so I decided, well, let's try to buy the place. So the old place there, I tracked down his number and called him and said, hey, we would be, if you'd be interested, I don't even know what it's going to take or what it would entail or what even to do with this, but would you be interested in ever something? And he just said, yeah, to the right guy. And turns out we were the right guy. So yeah.
I have zero experience.
Okay.
Other than like him coming home and being like, oh yeah, this guy needed some low pro 22.5s and blah blah blah, and I'm like, so I know the words. I'm starting to know what they mean.
Right.
Like I think I can say the words and know, like people like was big no. B team, ninth grade team, right? B string.
Yeah.
So zero experience.
So Allie, how did you feel when Jake came home and basically said, what do you think about buying this tire store here?
We live really close to my parents. They have a big farm, and we were gonna have Easter at their house, but all of our nanny goats had delivered very, very early in the season, and so my daughters and I were gonna go help clean goat stalls before Easter. And he's like, I think I want to buy a business. And I was like, okay, like as his wife, I'm like, this is a big deal. Like, I want you to know, like, this is important to me. Like, can I go pray on it? Like, can I go clean some goat stalls and pray on it? And because we've always said, like, we wouldn't run a business together. Like, I love you so much. I'm sure the Lord's been laughing at me for years. And so I just knew, I was like, yeah, like he supported my dream. We both were college graduates in the same college. And I opted to stay home full time. So for 10 years, he just took on the burden of being the sole provider and allowed me to live that dream and homeschool our kids. And I'm like, well, if this is like a dream of his, I'm not going to say no. And so I think for both of us, it was kind of fun and surprising. He was like, oh yeah, you can just stay home with the kids still and keep homeschooling. I was going to do like the accounting side of things. Day one, he calls me and he's like, oh, can you come here? Because it is a retail setting and he did commercial sales. And so my degree, it worked out. I mean, God's so cool. He's professional sales as his minor, and I'm retail management. So had a lot of experience in what we were going to be doing. And I would say, like, we just have had the privilege of it being really good for our marriage for the most part.
Yeah.
Like there's things like when you're married that you're like, gosh, I would love for you to work on this. But as a business partner, I could be like, as your business partner, I need you to work on this. And so like that's been really fun. But no, we've really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like talking. I like talking to people. And so us like, I'm not sitting at the counter. I can talk until you can tell me what to do.
Well, that's fantastic. I love that it's worked out for you guys so far, but I'm sure there were probably some big challenges in getting that all started. When was it that you started this journey of buying the business?
That would have been
April of 22.
April of 22. Yep.
And we officially opened November 1st of 22.
Yep.
Okay, so you guys have been in business for less than 3 years here. That's amazing. How has the journey as entrepreneurs gone so far?
Um, it's hard to explain unless you've been there. It's awesome. I never in a million years thought I would manage people or lead them or be in any sort of management role. I was always commissioned salesman, so it was just me and the sales, and it's been awesome. I really love it now. I've learned a lot. Obviously, learning on the fly was hard to do. She's very good at it. I'm not. And so she was a great resource for me in a lot of day-to-day situations. But it's fun. I love it. The changes and even some of the struggles. Looking back, we're like, wow, they grew us or helped us learn things or helped our relationship, whether it was with employees or with each other. Or there's just been a lot of cool things about being an entrepreneur. The opportunities that you have to talk to people, whether it's about Christ or just whether about building them up or in the community, it's just that part is super cool to me. Richmond isn't a huge town. I think what are we, 15,000 people, and we've kind of made it a game where if we go to the store, if we don't see somebody that we know from somewhere in business, that's not that it's a win, but that's kind of the contest. See if you can get in and out of the grocery store without seeing somebody that you don't know.
It's like impossible.
It's impossible.
It's like the hardest level.
No, I think like you said, I mean, pretty much everything. It's been, I stayed at home for years. I love business. I in particular, like if there's a hard conversation, I'm like, oh, do you want me to go have it? I love a challenge. I've been a counselor, so I've been a Christian counselor before. And so typically if there's a challenge, I'm like, oh yes, get to use the skills I'm not using anymore. And so like that for me was actually really fun. Having stayed home for 10 years, there was a lot of skills and things that you just don't use when you're watching Frozen every day. And so like, I mean, I'm really good at crisis management. Like when you have, 3 and under, like you get good at that. And this is easier than that. But no, it's just, I don't know, it's been really fun getting to plug into the community. And like Jake said, the opportunities we've had to just really bless, I think, this younger generation of men. That was something that's always been on Jake's heart. He's helped countless kids build race cars, enduro cars. And now he has the opportunity to bring in these guys who sometimes don't even know what righty-tighty, lefty-loosey is. And our investment in them, typically, like, we don't see a return on in terms of them working for us. But I think that's been probably one of my favorite things that we've gotten to do. And not that, like, I can help, but I mean, I know righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, but I don't show him anything. It's just, I don't know, as a wife, getting to watch him do that is pretty freaking cool and just feed into the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about that. What, is this a program that you're running, or is this just, something you decided to start by working with schools, or what's going on here?
There's been a lot of opportunity. Obviously, we go to church locally here, and so there's a lot of families, and we know a lot of families and the kids of families, and so there's been opportunities there. I like telling the story. So we hired our pastor's kid. His name is Aiden, and after like day 3, I'm like, what did I just do? I hired my pastor's kid, and he doesn't know righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. He turned out to be an absolutely phenomenal employee. We took 10. So I had some practice tires. He'd come in and I would pay him to just take the tires on and off and learn righty-tighty, lefty-loosey and how to properly change and how to mount and balance and do all the things that would set cars on lifts. And we just kept giving him a little bit more each day. And after about 2 months, he was phenomenal. I mean, he was just a machine. He knew exactly what to do. He knew how to do it. He didn't make mistakes. He was so thorough. It was so cool to see that. Yeah. So confidence grows, these guys, they don't know. And so to get to find these people, and then, I go on story. We've got a bunch of kids that worked for us in high school and then, moved out to college. They still come back. We feed the guys lunch every Friday. And so they're always, whether you're working for me or not, you're always welcome back to eat lunch with us on Fridays. You kind of come back to see the guys, because we do have a really good camaraderie amongst the employees. And so I also am buddies with the auto shop teacher for high school. So if we're looking for some help, I can always shoot him a text and be like, hey, do you got any candidates that you want to send my way? And so him and I have actually kind of developed a relationship where he's like, hey, how are my students doing? Do they know how to set a hoist? Do they know how to mount a tire? Do they know their righty tighty? He's like, are we teaching the right things in class when you see them in the real world? So it's been pretty cool to be able to communicate with him and watch these guys come in and grow, both professionally and, you know, as a youngster into a young man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I absolutely love that. And I mean, it sounds like you guys are doing all the right things there. So that kind of leads me to an industry question here. You know, what do you think? Obviously, there's, you know, a tech shortage just across the whole automotive industry here. What do you think is the, you know, how should we be actively, you know, recruiting and training new techs, especially this new generation?
So that question, it's funny you asked. When we were in the process of purchasing this business and putting our business plan together, that was the number one question that everybody asked us. Like all the lenders, everybody we had to meet with, especially coming off the heels of kind of the COVID run, where help was really hard to find. And have worked in the industry for as many years as I did, and multiple different bosses and managers, I really picked up on a lot of the do's and don'ts, in my opinion, that were kind of industry specific. And I never put myself above any of the jobs in the shop. Being an owner, I'll load the junk trailer, take out the garbages, whatever it took. And I actually have had employees come to me and say, I wanted to work here because you are hands-on, you are here, you know, and that's obvious. And I don't want to glorify myself in any of this, but doing that and then finding these young men in developing a relationship role. When I bring in anybody, whether a young man or one, we've hired plenty of adults too. We have, we're up to 13 employees now. I'm not a yeller. You know, if somebody screws something up, even if it's major, I always say you're not going to get yelled at, but you will get teased about it. If you scratch a wheel, your nickname might be Scratch for a few days. You know, stuff does happen. I get it. It's a shop. I've made plenty of mistakes of my own. But keeping that environment lighthearted. There's a lot of shops that I worked in where it just kind of seems doomy and gloomy. And I had a good boss of mine and a friend now tell me, you know, this industry sometimes is really tough. And he, in poor terms, he said, sometimes it really sucks. And he said, my job as your boss is try to make it suck as little as possible. And I really thought, I'm like, that's a really good way to see this, you know? And so we've really tried to come alongside our employees. Yeah, we lead them, but we really try to come alongside them with their needs, both in and out of work, and take care of them in more than just a paycheck. Big time, like more than just a paycheck. Concern for them, their family, their well-being, their wives if they have them, their kids if they have them. And not just, nobody's just a number. You know what I mean? Everybody's got my cell phone. Most of them have her cell phone. If they need something, even off the clock, we're trying to be there for them if we can.
Yeah. Well, and I think, that relationship and just investing in the people, I think is really crucial. Mm-hmm. I think that just even having that opportunity allowed, you know, a lot of, like, you were very blessed. You grew up in a shop, like, with your grandpa and your uncle and your dad. And there's this whole generation that hasn't, and it can be really, I think, embarrassing almost as like a boy to not be able to step into that environment. And I feel like not only you, but the men that work for us are just doing a phenomenal job shepherding these young men. Because like you being back there, I think is a huge deal. But it was almost a blessing. Sorry, Andrew, that you broke your arm. Because he really is such a good trainer. And so these other men are also out here investing in these boys and wanting to see them succeed. And I think that too, like just having that fostership like throughout is really, really important. And so for an industry, like if you want people to work for it, like they have to want to be there. Like you got to be nice. And paychecks just aren't it anymore when you can do a less physically demanding job and not have somebody screaming at you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for the most of I shouldn't say for all of it, but probably for the last 18 months, we've actually had a small waiting list. over, hey, if you guys ever have an opening,
Yeah.
let us know. And so I reached out to, if you know, and most of the employees, and I hate to use the word turnover because it's really not. It's usually a high schooler. He comes in and then he goes off to college. Maybe he'll come back for Christmas break or come back for the summers. And that's kind of the season we've seen through. Now the full-time guys we've hired on and kept on, and that we've grown as well. So we've kind of got both sides of it really going through. Yeah, it's cool to see people reaching out to us asking hey, if there's a position open, or would you be interested? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that. That is, you know you're doing something right when people want to come work for you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about getting young people interested in the industry. I want to step back and just look at the bigger picture for a minute here. How would you guys sum up the current state of the tire industry in one sentence?
I would call it touch and go right now. The tire industry in specific is very, I don't want to use the word volatile. That might be a bit extreme. But it's tricky to put it in one sentence. You can get your tires from Walmart.com and have somebody put them on, right? And so what do we do to try to separate ourselves from somebody just going and buying them on Amazon and getting them put on somewhere and trying to be a full service? And so that it's competitive. I guess that's the word I'd put it in right now. Yep, very competitive. It's not a service-based industry anymore. It's more of a commodity-driven industry.
Okay. So in that case, then what do you think the industry is doing right, and what could it be doing better?
I have seen some of the manufacturers start to pull back. Some of the mainline manufacturers, some of the big three, pull back from some of those online purchases. There was an email that one of the manufacturers put out saying they almost kind of issued an apology. It didn't say it, I'm sorry, but the way it read, hey, we have been using online resources to sell our product. They hadn't been, we gave them some MAP pricing to honor, and they haven't been. We just want to let you know, we penalized them with either higher prices, or we pulled their dealership license or whatever it was, because they were selling under the agreed costs. That was competing. So it was kind of cool to get to see some of that, because I think the dealers are, like the independents like us, are starting to give some pushback to some of these bigger dealers saying, this is dumb. Like I'm sick of people buying stuff online and carrying it in here and wanting us to install it for less money than I'm paying for it. Like that, you can't, that's not a good business model. So
No.
in the industry, I think is really starting to see that. And so it is, I have seen it start to make a little bit of a change. Hey, I used to be able to get these online. Well, now by the time you pay shipping, and then obviously there's an inflated cost for install if you're going to carry them in, which we don't even do anymore. And most of the shops don't. That's getting harder and harder to find as well. That I like to see the industry actually is kind of making a turn in that direction. Not that you still can't find them online, definitely, but it seemed to being more and more discouraged. And it's kind of bringing I don't want to say the power, but the direction back to the independent dealer, or even some of the corporate dealer stores have that direction for the consumer base.
Fascinating. All right. Allie, any opinions on what you think the industry's doing right, or what it could be doing?
Well, I think Jake kind of touched on it, and it's probably the biggest thing in my brain. So my background prior to staying at home was in insurance. And so I'm always trying to look at how can we mitigate risk. And we had allowed carry-ins up until recently. And we had a customer carry-in tire for a tractor. Seriously, praise the Lord. It could have gotten so much worse, but it blew up after it had gotten put on a tractor. And nobody was near it. It caused $30,000 worth of damage to this customer's tractor. And it was one of those things, I was like, no more. We don't know where the tires are coming from. We have no relationship with the dealer or the supplier. And so basically when we were like, hey, there was something actually wrong with the tire, they were like, you guys put them on. And that to me, that's bad. That's bad dog. You're not standing behind the product you're selling. And so for me, that is definitely if you are going to sell tires, you still need to be able to stand behind them if you're not the one installing them. And so that to me is just, I don't know.
that is a big issue.
Right.
Like that's a big issue to me. But probably because we got bit by it. So is it industry wide or alley wide? I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. And how have you guys integrated new technology into your business?
This industry is, I feel like, so behind the times, and I'm guilty. I've sucked into it my entire adult life, and I mean, we not that long ago we're still taking handwritten orders. We've now got a new operating system that allows for online purchases, online payments. We haven't turned on the scheduling option yet because we haven't quite figured out how we're going to do that properly with the facets of business that we run within the shop. But I think, contactless payment, not that we're worried about contact, but just somebody's got to pick it up and they can just pay it from their phone. That's super cool. I really like that. Industries push that. A lot of the operating systems have that option now. Just the recording options as far as keeping records and stuff within systems and finding them, be able to navigate through, like the integration between operating systems and parts suppliers.
That was
It's super cool. We don't have to go to 5 different tabs on our website to find a set of ball joints or something. We can just log into our operating system. It'll pull up our suppliers and what they have to offer. So we're not bouncing between screens. That's been super cool. So really the operating system companies, no matter which one they are, from what I've seen, we've been shopping, most of them have that offered. They communicate with QuickBooks, they communicate with all your local parts vendors, your tire suppliers. I think that's awesome.
Well, it helps minimize lead times, right? And so like we're having things in our shop less. It just makes us more efficient. Which, I love.
Yep. Another thing, the TPMS, tire pressure monitoring system technology, has improved immensely. That I've seen through my course of employment within the tire street. It's so much easier than it used to be. I can train a guy in 1 or 2 vehicles. It used to be a process. The machines are so much more advanced. They're quicker. They're easier to read, easier to maintain. That's another thing we've seen within the technology that's made life a lot easier and quicker in the industry.
Okay, that's awesome. All right. Speaking of, new technology, I guess let's take a look at automotive technology. Obviously, there's been a big push in recent years towards hybrid and electric vehicles. What are your thoughts on that and what it's going to mean for your business?
So we have seen a couple Teslas in. We are kind of in farm country. We are a suburb of the Twin Cities, but we're definitely out in farm country still. And we've installed them. We did our homework, we did our research, made sure we were lifting them properly and inflating them, doing everything you're supposed to do. We don't say no. We're not scared of them. We just are very cautious as we step into the hybrid and the EV stuff. Having those conversations up front with the customer. Hey, we're going to put a low rolling resistance tire on. You may not see the mileage out of it, or you may not see the traction you like out of it. And so we just have those conversations up front. If you want an all-terrain tire on your Lightning F-150, that's fine, but you're going to see your mileage on your battery life go down because it's heavier tire, it's higher rolling resistance. And out here, most people don't care. I'd rather have the traction.
Right.
And and use a little bit more power to spin them where, the plows don't get out in time and people want to get where they need to go. Especially, like we have a vet, our vet, she's got a Lightning and she put, heavy all-terrains on there because she's like, where I got to go is more important than how much battery I'm using.
Right.
So just, I think having those conversations, I know the industry really recommends, hey, if it's an EV, you got to put an EV tire on there. And we try to stay along those lines, but we're very upfront with the customer what that means for their performance and handling on the vehicle. And just keeping upfront with that, not just putting iron and selling the tire to the needs of the customer, not to the recommendation of the brochure.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. I love, that's the way it should be is, full transparency with the customer there. I do want to touch on, the fact that you guys are in farm country. It sounds like you have, a bit of agricultural business as well. How does that, are there any challenges or differences from that side of the business with your, general automotive side?
Mm-hmm.
It's seasonal. And so like we try and plan our staffing and kind of what we have on hand around planting and harvest. So typically that's a Jake thing. He's going to make sure on hand, you know, we have specific tires for each season, really. And then just making sure that any of our ag staff is just really available. And so we try really, really hard to never tell a farmer no, because it's their livelihood. And so, like, you know, they're like, what do you got that you can throw on this right now? I have a tractor down in my field. And so just proper maintenance on our service truck prior to those seasons, knowing when we're going to have a heavy load. We try to like lure some of the farmers in like February. We're like, we will give you a discount if you bring your stuff in before planting starts. You're doing nothing. It's February. I know you're sitting on the couch with Ma. Okay, like bring your stuff in. We're slow. You got nothing going on. Don't wait until it's, you know, April and you have 3 flat tires and you're in here wild-eyed and sleep-deprived.
Yeah, so actually this year, we've learned over the last few years, this year we tried it for the first time. We scheduled our automotive, like tire and oil service bays, about half schedule for the 2 weeks of planting. And so then when the farmer comes eyes and all you can see is the whites in his eyes, and he comes in with a tire under his arm, we could get him in and out of there because we have the guys. Well, I have dedicated farm guys, but those at that time, those guys are run steady. So we've actually backed the schedule down in anticipation of that boom in business right there.
Right.
And this last time we just did it in May for planting, and it worked awesome. We're definitely going to do it again during harvest because it made it so much smoother transaction. Temper stayed low, customer service was at an all-time high, and we just scheduled it accordingly. It worked really good.
Yeah. I love that, you know, again, 1, learning on the job, but 2, you know, figuring out those solutions tailored to your community. That is fantastic. Cool. All right. So I guess overall, going back to a little big picture here, what do you think the future of the industry looks like?
That is a little big picture. It seems to be a lot of tire companies are getting bought up. You know, Cooper got bought by Goodyear. Carlisle got bought by Yokohama. You're seeing these middle-sized manufacturers getting bought up by the big ones. You keep seeing that. The container tires are still getting shipped over from overseas, and you see those flood the market, which definitely turned back on retreading as far as the commercial stuff goes. We've seen that continue. Casing values are still low, which means the Chinese tires, the import, I shouldn't even say Chinese, all the import tires are driving prices down. They're keeping the big manufacturers more honest when you can buy an import tire for less than half of what a Michelin, BFG, Goodyear, Bridgestone costs. It's kind of keeping them in check as far as pricing goes. And you're seeing that on the automotive side as well, not quite as much because the retreading doesn't really come into play. But as far as the industry goes, I don't see that going away. Whether there is tariffs or not, they're able to get them over here so inexpensive.
Yeah.
That
even with the tariff, they're still
so inexpensive that we're still moving a lot of the import stuff just because that's what the market's calling for. So I could see that continuing to grow actually, or the local manufacturers figuring out, or the U.S.-based manufacturers figuring out, hey, we got to play ball, or we're losing out on sales here. And what I've seen them mostly do is coming up with programs, right? So they're not just going to overall lower all their pricing, but they're going to be programs for farmers. They're going to be programs for small truck fleets or contractors of dump trucks. So they come up with these programs that they allow us dealers to sell through to come up with more competitive pricing for those guys that run more of a American-made tire, something more local based. And that's really where I've seen the shift come from. They are adapting to that change, big picture. And so far, it really seems to be working well.
Yeah, what he said.
Excellent. Okay. And then, so now let's narrow in the focus. What do you two feel that your professional legacy will look like?
Oh,
good question.
we love that word
Yeah, yes, we do.
because that's one of the words, like when we, go through what we want people to feel, like legacy is one of the words of our shop.
Right.
We have 3 daughters, and actually it was funny. My stepmom the other day said, she's like, I could see your kids actually playing a role in your business. But it's just, I want when people think about us to be first and foremost, like, man, like I could just feel the Lord when I was in their presence. Like, man, they smelled like Jesus.
And sometimes I say weird stuff. It just happens. But I think that's probably our biggest legacy is like, if we were like, man, that person is who got me to the Lord or helped pray for me through a tough time, or like working for them. Like they started planting the seed. I think that's just our biggest thing.
I agree.
You agree?
Yeah, good job.
Yeah. Thanks.
Love that. That is fantastic. Well, Fake, Allie, you two are rock stars. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Jake and Allie took a leap of faith when they bought their business in 2022 after having a conversation on a whim. But they've become a pillar of their community, helping to teach the next generation of techs and ensuring that their customers, whether agricultural or automotive, can rely on them when they're most in need. It's this sense of service to the community and their unwavering faith that make them vehicle care rock stars.